Thank you for everyone for attending our October meeting of the Infrastructure Services Committee. And I'm going to remind us that there will be no prior audio recordings of these, and those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements. There are to be no other recordings of this meeting without the prior authorisation of the committee. We'll move on now. Acknowledgement of country. Where's that? I think it's already been done, isn't it? I would like to show respect and acknowledge the traditional owners and custodians of the land and of elders, past, present and future, on which this meeting takes place. So, GM, are there any applications for attending meeting via video?
Neil, Mr. Chair.
Neil. Are there any apologies?
No, there's not.
No apologies. Does any disclosures of interest?
There's been none received.
None received. Public participation?
There's nil public participation.
So, all right, we'll move on to the business items on page 2. ISC 10.1 Works Program Infrastructure Services, Water and Sewer. Graham, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I will principally take the report as read, but highlight 2 points. The first one being on page 1, we've had a bit of a delay in having communications with Muswellbrook over the joint water treatment plant. And in doing so, our principal engineer at council has not now gone away for months annual leave. So that will be delayed until the middle of November before we get to have that meeting with Muswellbrook. The second bit that I'll bring your attention to, which is about Murrurundi Dam and the water process up at Murrurundi, that is being arranged for about the 8th of November for a community consultation meeting. That'll be a drop-in session at the Murrurundi RSL club. Sorry, not the club, the RSL hall. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. I'm ready to take questions.
Thank you. Are there any comments, questions?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, the village water, I see stands are getting put in place. They look great. There was a bit of concern about the size of them. I think they look good and they fit right in. So well done.
Here.
Just letting you know, those will more than likely be available early next month. We're just trying to sort out the electronics, which is likely to occur later in this month. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other further comments or questions? I have one on page 3, the repair works, the completed free potable water leak identification. Now it just says private leaks have been notified to residents. Has there been many private leaks identified on private property?
The report indicates there were 38.
38.
Private identified leaks. The way that the technology works is they're able to, from the sound, and they pick it up at several points, but they're able to estimate the volume, and they're also estimate that it's actually in the private property. And so as they were going through that process, they documented that and they put a drop something in their letterbox indicating what the leak was. We're not following those up inside the property boundaries, but we certainly have followed up all the others and they have been repaired.
Okay, and of course, I guess it depends upon what sort of leak and how bad the leak is as to what how they are repaired. I've just had a concern by a resident. What they said was they thought was more water than they were charged than what was used, and I'm just wondering what can happen with the that particular resident to identify exactly where that is. Who can do that? You'd have to have a special meter or something to do that.
Normally repairs are undertaken by plumbers. We just identify that it's a private leak and it's the responsibility of the owner to resolve that matter.
Yeah, there wasn't any dissent regarding that. It was just how that they could say, well, it's there, or to identify the exact place. Is there's something that council can do or pay for, or whatever the case may be?
Mr. Chair, that is the private resident's own responsibility. What we are doing is a service by providing them an early advice of a leak. Quite often you won't be aware of a small leak until it becomes much larger. Obviously, in dry conditions, larger leaks become very obvious. You can see them either at water on the ground surface or even just, green coloured patches in your lawn. So it becomes very obvious when it's a bigger leak. What we've identified is probably very small leaks that wouldn't be identifiable by any other means. It could be difficult for the property owner to actually identify that, but a plumber may have the ability to be able to isolate the system and find either leaks or breaks in their water system, but that's down to the property owner to determine.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Jam. There was no dissension regarding that. It's just the fact that if council had the particular equipment and the resident chose to pay for that, would it be available? Is that correct or not?
We don't provide that service or that equipment,
Right.
Mr. Chair.
We do not.
That's okay. Thank you. Now, just moving over to the Glenbourne Dam pipework discharge. I'm just wondering how we're going with that. Has it been identified? Is it a design fault or is it a construction fault? And what risk to council if the failure occurs?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there are alternatives if we have a failure of that pipe. It's not at the moment in significant risk because we're not discharging onto the pipe that we were when it failed, and we are progressing with the engineering to assess the loads that are occurring on that pipe.
But it hasn't been identified as a construction or a design fault as yet.
It's probably it's a fault. Sorry, it's not a fault. It's a design error because the loads that were being applied to it were not predicted in the design process.
Yeah, I guess that would be in the original dam, because then when it was extended, there'd be a lot higher pressure exerted on that particular pipe.
Well, the pipe was designed and put in 2012.
Right,
and the
okay.
dam had already been
That's right.
raised.
That answers the question. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Do we have any further questions or comments on ISC 10.1? Could I have a move and a seconder, please? Move Councillor Clout, seconded Councillor McPhee. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. If you'd like to turn over to page 7. ISC 10.2. Works Program Infrastructure Delivery Program. Rag, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I assume that the report's been read. Just wanted to highlight that we are actually short-staffed at the moment with the school holidays and several staff on leave. So we are slightly off with a couple of KPIs. However, we are hoping to catch up on them in the next month. But I'm happy to take any questions regarding any particular projects.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? It's quite large, and especially if you turn over the page to about page 13. It's very, very small print, so I'm not sure whether we're able to look at that. But anyway, do we have any questions or comments regarding that section?
So through you, Mr. Chair, just to add to that, with our grading program, we have actually hit the target, in the last couple of months. So we are above target. The target is grading 95 kilometers a month. We actually completed 98 and 97 kilometers of grading in the last couple of months. So which is pretty good because we have caught up on our grading program.
That's great. It's great news, and I'd like to make sure. Would you please pass on the infrastructure committee's congratulations, commendation actually on that, achieving that, because it's been pretty hard going, and there's been lots of comments regarding it. But anyway, that's a really good outcome. And our damages claims, they are still progressing, flood money, etc., etc.
Yes, they are progressing, and since there is a shortage of contractor availability and the drought conditions, I think all the councils pursuing the flood works have requested transport for an extension, and we have also pursued transport to get an extension for some of these flood work projects, and we have received extension for one particular flood event already. And however, we are still yet to receive an update on the other two events. So that's all going on track so far.
Okay.
However, with the extension, it will help us to deliver some of the works internal, which would probably give us some cost savings.
Okay, that's very good. Just on page 9, the Kalingal Road Crown Reserve, that council has estimated the value of the damages claimed be 41,100. I think we got all that money, and has that money been expended?
So we have actually received the approval to undertake the works. So we are progressing doing the works. However, we haven't claimed that full money yet because the actuals might vary than what's been approved. So we are yet to claim that. Once all the works complete, then we'll take the photographs and we'll report it and we'll claim the actuals.
That's going to take place in the next couple of months. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. I also asked regarding the Kalingal Road. How are we going with that? Is there a starting date of doing that 900 meters?
So through your chair, so this is actually one of the issues that we identified and reported during the flood events, and we have been successful in getting some of the floodworks claims, and I think we have received the approval for sealing 900 meter of Kalingal Road section, which was significantly damaged due to the weather event. And we are currently in the process of engaging contractors and getting quotes. I think being a very busy season, there might be some delay to start it, but we are still on track, and we are hoping to complete the sealing by end of this financial year.
Okay, that's very good. It'll be good news for those down the Kalingal Road anyway, so that's good. Now, on the grading program, you've just said that it is on track, and so that's good news. Do we have any questions or comments regarding that? The grading program, etc., and also on the bridge program. We're going to use that now. Do that now.
That's the next one.
Yeah, all right. Okay. All right. All right. Moving to seconder, please. Move, Councillor Flaherty. Cloud, oh dear, oh dear. Councillor Collison, seconded. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. All right. Turn over to page 18. ISC 10.3. Yeah, Rag, you still have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this report basically outlines all the capital works projects that the council is undertaking for this financial year and the updates. I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, on page 24. We'll go down, I think that's where it is, Scone CBD. I see a flyer floating around that residents have shown me this morning, and there's some issues on the CBD works. Can someone, is that truthful or not, Mr. GM?
Mr. Chair, through you to Councillor Collison. Yeah, obviously that document's not a council document, it's privately published. I also saw it, I don't know what it's referring to. We do have a report later in this meeting on the CBD progress. At this stage, council has awarded a contract for the first stage, which is the first 2 blocks. That's progressing. The report to council that you'll consider later on shows the timeframes. There's been some extensions of time granted for the contractor, but that's all been with council approval. It's either been through changes to the contract scope, which was the pedestrian lighting that we added to the scope, or through contractual arrangements such as wet weather. So all the, I guess, changes have been with either contract or council approval. There's been no concerns, but we do have the project manager online and he can maybe address any further comments when we get to that report.
Thank you, Jim. I'll wait till then, and otherwise I may have to give the author of that flyer a ring to find out what the issues are.
Mr. Chair, through you, there's a number of errors in that flyer. I wouldn't put, there's a number of concerns that I have with factual statements in that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, could I ask, is that a member of the community or is it a councillor, or who do we know who's the author of that?
The only name on it is the name of Patricia Taylor. That's the only name that's on the flyer.
So I believe, not that I listen to a commercial radio station, I believe that person was on with a councillor on the radio. Is that correct?
That's my understanding. A councillor spoke on that matter. Councillor.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions or comments? On page 22 of the where we at there, Merriwood Town beautification, now markings on the pavement. This has come up at the CAC. Where are we up to with that? My understanding was that it was there was a particular company that was asked to come and demonstrate. I wasn't able to attend that meeting through the Progress Association. Has any of that come up with to the council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I can probably comment on that. Yes, we have had a company who demonstrated the lighting side of things, and our works engineer is actually following up on this because we don't have a works delivery manager at the moment. However, we haven't received any quotes from them yet. That funds allocated for the street beautification project. I've had discussions with people who are wanting to invest a bit more in terms of in-kind contribution as well as in terms of funds to add to that. So that is still progressing at this point in time. I don't want to mention any names or anything. However, there is works going on in the background, and we will look forward to getting onto that probably in the next 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, the message out of that, I believe, is the fact that matters are still being discussed and will be brought forward to council later. I'm sure it will probably come up in the November CAC meeting. So, yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. Any further comments or questions?
Just another comment, Mr. Chair. The bridge program, Raj, congratulations to the contractors and the staff. You read through their projects running under budget. I mean, there's one up my way, wasn't due to be completed till 24. We're driving over it. So I think a letter of appreciation to that contractor on it's been a great effort, and yeah, well done.
Here. I think we would all agree with that, which is really good. And I might add to the number of projects and the bridges, etc., to be attended to and to be changed and replaced. That's a heck of a big effort. And full marks to those who are in charge of trying to get that thing done.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to, pass it on to my team because, Chris has been actively involved in delivering these bridge renewal programs. And as, the mayor mentioned, we are running under budget, and we are also running well ahead of time. So, which is a very big plus.
It is indeed. Congratulations. Absolutely. Okay, can we have a mover and seconder, please?
Moved.
Councillor McPhee, seconded Councillor Collison. All those in favour, please say aye. As against, I think the ayes have it. Turn over to page 25, please. The good old chestnut, MR 358. Who's going to do this? Rug or Jeff? Jeff, you can do that. Would you like to go move somewhere we can hear you? No, it's got to go on. It's got to be recorded. It's got to be recorded. Come and sit up here in this second one alongside the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, there's two, with Main Road 358, there's two key activities for September. Some good news, we had a letter from the minister that funding for the project has been approved and is available. And we also forwarded a letter to the preferred tenderer requesting an extension to December before we award the contract. Emerging issues this month is actually council is still waiting on the funding deeds from the federal and state government to be received and executed, and access to and from the site along Castles Creek Road from the flood damage needs to be repaired.
Okay, so from that, that's fine, but we really can't issue the tender, is that correct? To clarify this, we can't issue the tender until we actually have the funding deed.
True, we won't be issuing the tender until we've got the funding deed.
So through you, Mr. Chair, one of our concerns is whilst we've been given confirmation from the federal government that they will fund it, the timing of that funding hasn't been confirmed. Now, we'd like to think that it's in this current financial year. However, as soon as we sign a contract, we are financially liable for the contractor's progress payments. Some of those progress payments become effective immediately on signing the contract. Now, we don't have the funds to pay for that in the meantime. If we had a large bucket of money that was unallocated for anything else, we could potentially carry the costs until such time as the federal funding came through and we'd be right to go. We're not in that luxury. We don't have that luxury, Mr. Chair. So we do rely on those funds coming through because in effect, the financial liability commences the minute we sign that contract.
Thank you. Yes, well, it's a big issue really when you've got to provide the funds and the bank account doesn't have those funds available.
So sorry, Mr. Chair, where to from here, Mr. GM? I mean, we've had the trip to Canberra, we've had the trip to Sydney, we have the trip to Maitland. Where's our next trip to get this money released?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, through your chair. Since the confirmation from the federal minister that the funding was available, we have written 2 letters to seek the expedition of the I guess the funding deed so that we can actually get those funds flowing. Having said that, we've had no confirmation of that yet. We've had a number of meetings with the staff at both the state and federal level. We're trying to get our contact at the federal level to progress this faster, but we've had no luck there either. Yesterday, we became aware that Emily Saval, who is in the New South Wales Upper House, has been given state government authority to be the representative for the Upper Hunter local government area. So we also wrote to Emily yesterday to see whether anything could be done through her links back to state and federal government. It's been frustrating, I guess, at this stage. There's processes that they want to follow, but at this point in time, we've had no supportive documentation to give us any indication of even when the funding deed might be arriving.
Okay, well, through you again, Mr. Chair, I suggest that we again get on to Dan Rippercolli's office. He's our Labor member from the Lower Hunter. Maybe we can get him to do some pushing along with us. We've got to go with him to meet some more ministers.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, can do. Dan's been CC'd in our letters to Catherine King, so we can reach out again and try and set up a meeting.
Yes, I would suggest to you, Mr. Chair, strongly that we do that ASAP. And if we're going to go and meet him again and take him to Marywell, we will.
Indeed, thank you. Yes, it's very important. Okay, any further questions or comments on ISC 10.4? Moved, seconded, Councillor McPhee, moved, Councillor Collison, our mayor. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. We'd like to turn over to page 29, ISC 10.5, Local Roads Initial Seal Project Update. We're all looking forward to this. Chris, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll take the report as read, but I'll just point to a couple of highlights, I guess. Moon and Brook Road, we've started placing the pavement material that we've won from Elliston Quarry. So that started since the last meeting that we had. And we've continued to work up the hill on Barrington Tops Forest Road, installing culverts as we go up the hill there. So, and on Hunter Road, some of the big culvert sections have been delivered and stored on site adjacent to where that causeway is going to be replaced. Are there any questions?
Through you, Mr. Chair, just a comment. How happy I am to see gravel sourced from within the area of Moonend Flat. Well done.
Thank you. Any further
Any
questions?
further questions or comments here? How are we going with Hunter Road?
Mr. Chair, Hunter Road, the design is completed, and as I said, we've taken delivery of the culverts. It's the order of works is such based on the funding bodies delivery dates, means that Hunter Road will be the third road completed of the three. So we'll complete Moonend Brook Road, and in fact, just yesterday we got formal approval of the extension of time for Moonend Brook Road to go out to January next year for construction. And so we'll finish Moonend Brook Road, and then the next Barrington Tops Forest Road is the next must do date according to the funding. And then Hunter Road has been it's the third one of the road. So I guess it'll sit there and wait its turn until we finish enough of the works on Barrington Tops Forest Road that we can then swing some of the subcontractors over to start the earthworks and drainage works on Hunter Road.
Okay, thank you. At least it's still on the radar. It's being moved anyway, which is really good. Do we have any other further comments or questions? A move and a seconder, please. Right, see 10.5.
Thank you.
Seconded, Councillor McPhee. Moved by Councillor. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. Just okay. Move over to page 33, ISC 10.6. We have Alan on the line. Alan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Thank you, Mr.
That's
Chair.
great. You have the floor. Thank you.
Great. I'll take the report as read. I'll just highlight that St Albans Town Square is open to the public as of today. So that's there's a few little defects to fix in there, but that's probably the first piece of infrastructure we've handed over. So that's a bit of a highlight. Other than that, has anyone got any questions?
Okay, do we have any questions or comments for Alan or for any of our
Through you, Mr. Chair. Alan, you would have heard the discussion. I provided some advice to the Mayor in regard to a question that was raised. There's a flyer floating around town saying there's a major problem with the main street. I've given an explanation in regards to the timing and the progress of the stage one works, which is the first two blocks. Did you have anything else to add to what I said earlier?
No, I think basically the current contract completion date is still the 13th of June, but we've got to renegotiate that TCS and median scope, which is due to us this week. The dates provided in the report indicate our best guess based on discussions with the contractor, which ends up being a September finish, so a few months on top of the July or the June date. But that's all I can really add. I haven't seen the flyer itself, so I really can't comment any further.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, my comment from the outside, just travelling over, I'm just very pleased to see the progression that's happening in the street. It badly needed to be done, to be upgraded. That's all that you can say. And getting it done and getting that drainage issue in order and change, I think is great. So thank you to Alan for your assistance in that as the project manager, I think. Anyway, any further questions or comments? There being none, no further, I ask for a mover and a second of IC 10.6, please. Move Councillor Clout, seconded Councillor McPhee. All those in favour, please say aye. Those against, I think the ayes have it. That brings us to the end of our infrastructure meeting, and I'll close it now at 1300, 1 o'clock. Thank you very much for your attendance and also for your comments. Very positive.